The scale hasn't moved in weeks. You're eating clean, you're training harder, and somehow nothing's happening. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 3 metabolic strategies that are going to kick you back into fat loss and help you melt that belly fat without starving yourself or spending hours in the gym. These are the exact resets I've used with hundreds of busy men, just like Ollie, who's a founder and director who works 12 to 14 hours a day. He dropped 36 pounds in just over 4 months, looks 10 years younger, and did it with 10 to 20-minute workouts and smart recovery, not restriction. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why your body is holding onto fat and the simple levers to flip it back into a fat burning state. Here's the truth. Your body isn't broken. It's protecting you. Push hard for too long, your metabolism and your hormones are going to slam on the brakes. But the good news is you can lift that brake very quickly and safely. When that scale slows down or stops moving, it's not because your body's failed, it's adapted. Long deficits, high stress, late nights, training hard sends one message: save energy and save fuel. And if you've been consistent for a while, and let's say that your calories are on point, your training's on point, you're getting your steps in, you're sleeping okay, but your hunger's gone through the roof, your cravings are up, your energy's gone down, and you're not able to push as hard in the gym, that is a sign that your body is fighting against you and you've hit that classic diet fatigue point. You're fighting against your hormones and you need to make some changes. The biggest mistake is to just eat less and move more. The other side to it is that we also need to make sure that we're able to continue progressing your training. If you're doing the same reps or you're doing the same weight or it's not moved at all, then you're not going to make any progress. However, if you get the levers right, you'll still be able to drop fat and maintain your muscle mass. But if your training's slowing down and you're not losing weight, then it's a sign something needs to change. Let's start with the fastest daily lever you can pull, and that is carbohydrate cycling. Now, you don't need a complicated spreadsheet. You just need to fuel your workouts and fuel your activity. So on training days, that's when you are going to eat more carbs, oats, potatoes, rice, fruit, those types of things to refuel your stores. On rest days, you're going to reduce the carbs to fit your lifestyle because you won't need as much energy, and it helps you tap into those fat stores and teaches your body to burn fat. It is essential that you're consistent with your protein, so you're hitting that 0.7 grams per pound to 1 gram per pound of body weight to make sure that you're maintaining muscle, if not building muscle. But also something magical happens when you hit that 0.7 to 1 gram per pound. Your hunger hormones just switch off. This means you don't crave as much because your body will continue to crave more and more food until you hit that protein goal. For carbohydrates, on a rest day, it might mean that you have 1 or 2 low carbohydrate meals. On a training day, you're going to get more carbohydrates before and after your training. You can actually eat less carbs when you're not training, but if you are training, you do not want to be depleted. Think about it like this. You need energy to push yourself in the gym, to build muscle, to get a good workout. You're not going to burn fat during that session, but you will for the next 2 to 3 days. On your non-training days, you can then be in more of a deficit and you will tap into those fat stores only through light activity, not through pushing yourself in the gym. Most people get it the wrong way around. They end up eating more carbs on their rest days and not enough on their training days, which means they're depleted, they can't push themselves as hard in the gym. And then on their rest days, their body's in a fight or flight state. They then eat a whole bunch of carbs, a whole bunch of things on the weekend. Not only does that reset all your effort for the week, but you're way more likely to store weight around your midsection. So start to think about how you can adapt your carbs and your calories around how active you are. The more active you are, the more carbohydrates you eat. The less active you are, the less you eat, and you can create a bit of variety, and that's going to help create balance and help you burn more fat. Now, you might be thinking, well, don't carbs make me fat? Well, if you eat too many consistently, then yes. However, getting the right amount of carbs in is going to help you get way more benefit from all the activity that you do. And it also resets your hormones so that if you've been eating low carb, you actually completely reset the hormones and therefore you start to kick into fat burning state. So I had this with one client, Daniel. He was training 4 or 5 times a week. He was doing 10,000 plus steps a day. And he then started to add in cardio and he was dropping fat until the point where suddenly the scale didn't move for 2 weeks and he started to panic. And I said, dude, you're doing too much. You've been in a deficit for a long time. So you've hit that diet fatigue point. So what we need to do is take the cardio out, stop doing too much activity, rest better, sleep better. So we started to track and improve his sleep and his heart rate variability, his HRV. And then we made sure we actually reduced his training a bit, increased his calories, and guess what? He started to burn fat. So he literally said, well, how am I burning more calories? How am I losing more weight when I'm eating more and I'm training less? And it's because you've got to hit that sweet spot. If you just keep upping your activity and upping your exercise when you're already in a deficit, and then to lose weight faster than you eat less, it's going to work against you. So we do need to hit that sweet spot. There is such a thing as eating too little. Your body goes into starvation mode. It stops you burning calories. You don't want to move as much. Your hunger goes through the roof and you're going to stop losing weight. But what if you've been in a deficit for so long that carbohydrate cycling doesn't budge the scale? That's where we need to do what's called a reverse diet. Now, it sounds counterintuitive. What we want to do is prime your metabolism to actually burn more calories. So what happens is when you diet for a long period of time, it might be after a month if you're fairly lean, it might be after 3 to 6 months if you've got a fair bit to lose. But at some point, your body's going to fight back because you've been eating in a deficit and your metabolism's been slowing down. So what we need to do is actually start to increase your calories and not increase your training, but maybe start to increase your daily movement, your step count, so that we can start to actually burn more calories per day, but consume more calories at the same time and start to build your metabolism back up. Now, the ideal scenario is we build a bit more muscle. Now you can maintain a new maintenance point where actually you burn more calories per day. Now, I've done this over the last 8 years. I used to eat 1,600 calories in order to lose weight. Now I can eat 2,500 calories a day and still lose weight, or 3,000 calories a day and maintain my weight. And that is because I've used this metabolic priming and I've done this reverse diet to the point where I've increased my daily calorie burn and gained muscle so I can eat more calories year round. And that's exactly what I help my clients to do, is not only lose the weight, build their metabolism back up and build lean muscle so that they can actually keep the weight off. So if you're at the point where the scale stopped moving, you know you've been consistent with your steps, you've been consistent with training, your sleep's fairly on point. And by the way, sleep is essential because if you're not sleeping properly, that will hinder your fat loss. But let's say you've been consistent with all the right things, cycling's not working, then it might be the point to start increasing your calories. You might be scared and panicking going, won't I gain weight if I up my calories? Start with 100 to 200 calories per day. You might see a slight uptick from glycogen and from water and digestion, and that's completely normal. But the thing is, look at your waistline, look at your measurements. If you've been in a deficit and your body's running on empty, eating less will not help you lose more weight. You will actually need to increase your calories, but keep your activity on the right point so that your body can start to speed up the metabolism so you're burning more calories. It sounds counterintuitive, but if you increase your macros by 100 to 200 calories, you've got more energy in the gym, you start to drop more fat, and then you know you're on the right track. And then what you could do is, as you continue to build strength, you might need to increase again by another 100 or 200 calories. Then you reach your new maintenance point. From there, we can then decide, do we need to increase or decrease? But you can't just keep eating less. It just doesn't work. If I just kept eating less from 1,600 calories, then I'd probably be skinny fat. I'd probably have a bunch of health issues, but I was able to build my metabolism back up. And now I can eat 2,500 to 3,000 calories per day. Now, if you've been doing a reverse diet and you see your weight go up by more than 2% over 3 days, then you might need to reduce back down again by 100 to 150 calories and start to increase your steps and start to really prioritize and improve your sleep. But if you get all the foundations right, you're sleeping well, you're training well, you're hitting your step count, you should notice your body start to burn fat again. And then you can keep going with a slightly higher calorie range. And obviously, it feels great knowing that you can actually eat more food on a daily basis. The third step is then really is upgrading your engine. It is actually building that lean muscle. It is your metabolic insurance. Not only will you burn more calories for every pound of muscle that you build, but you can eat more carbohydrates and more calories and get away with it without storing fat. As a high performing man, you need to be maintaining muscle. We lose muscle every year from the age of 30 unless we're doing progressive strength training. It doesn't mean you need to spend hours in a gym. You could be doing 10, 15 minutes a day, or you could be doing 30 to 40 minutes 3 or 4 times a week. But we do need that in order to optimize your testosterone and to keep the weight off. Would you rather be eating 1,600 calories a day or 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day? I think you know the answer to that. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. And if you want access to my 20-minute fat burning muscle building workouts, then in the description, you'll see my elite fat loss course that you get absolutely for free for high performing men. Go to my school community, you'll get all of the resources included. So putting this all together, on training days, eat a few more carbohydrates around your workout and train with intent and progression. Track 1 or 2 lifts to make sure that you're actually building strength. On rest days, have lower carbs and delay your first meal, maybe do intermittent fasting. Make sure that you hit 6,000 to 8,000 steps a day and do 10 minutes of mobility at least a few times a week. And if you've hit everything right, you're sleeping well, you're hitting your step count, you're training consistently, and you've been at a plateau for a few weeks, then it might be time to start doing a reverse diet and start to do some metabolic priming. When you apply all of this, you will start to see that your body is a high performing engine. It is not designed for fat loss, it is designed for survival. So, what we need to do is understand the signals and understand what we need to adjust. And if you want access to those workouts, you want access to the Elite Fat Burning course, go to the description, join the school community. I'd love to have you on the inside. If this helped, please like and subscribe, share this with a friend, and make sure to check out the next video. See you soon.